Captain. I said, "What?" Good evening, and welcome to Having a Drink with Mink. I'm your host, Jason Mink. Thank you for joining us on this most marvelous of episodes. That's right, I went there. In fact, I'll go there again. I'll continue going there until I get a strongly worded letter telling me not to come back, and maybe, even then, I'm pretty persistent, you know. Okay, let's get right to it because we have not one, not two, but three Captain Marvel to talk about in this episode. Well, let's stick around and find out. But first, a little bit of backstory. In 1975, Shazam was just about my favorite thing ever. I know, I didn't call him Captain Marvel, but cut me a break. At the time, I was 5, and I'd never seen a Captain Marvel comic before. What I had seen, however, was the TV show. The adventures of a kid who could turn into a superpowered grown-up by saying a single word was pretty much tailor-made for a dreamer like me. No wealth or physical fitness required. Thanks very much, Bruce Wayne. Tooling around in an RV with his ever-crusty mentor, Billy Batson was the kid that we all wanted to be, at least until Luke Skywalker came along. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Shazam ran from September 7th, 1974 to October 16th, 1976, which is a brief window in the big scheme of things. It seemed a lot longer, but then again, everything did as a kid. I spent a lot of my time at my grandparents' back then. The reclaimed farmland that they lived on sported a huge rectangular field, bordered by woods on 3 sides, and I guess the thinking was that me being there was better than spending all my free time in the city. The rub was, there were no other kids within walking distance, which left me spending a lot of time on my own. With no cable TV or internet, heck, even Betamax wasn't a thing yet, my weekly Saturday morning dose of entertainment was highly prized. As sad as it might sound in retrospect, the characters who populated that fistful of hours filled in for my absent friends, with Billy Batson and his superpowered alter ego doing the bulk of the heavy lifting. Now, I've rewatched some of those old Shazam episodes for this video, and I'll be honest with you, I don't really remember them. In fact, they were sort of beside the point, even at the time. It was the concept that excited young Mink, a concept that was best expressed in deed and action. That's a fancy way of saying that I ran around in the yard all day with a towel tied around my neck, reenacting the best bits of the show, but more importantly, using my imagination to fill in the missing gaps. After all, a wise man once said that the best ideas aren't destinations, but doorways, leading the willing to a place of limitless potential. It was there that I spent my days, no matter where my body was, at the time. And my Mego figures helped make it possible. Without friends to play off of, I invoked archetypes, heroes and villains in conflicts both cataclysmic and sublime. The sprawling fields outside of my grandparents' house were the proving grounds where countless battles were fought. Characters lived, died, and lived again in a constant Phoenix-style renewal, a matter, of course, as much as dramatic necessity. I mean, I only had so many action figures. It was under that limitless blue that I ran with the captain, holding him at arm's length between myself and the sky. It's the closest that I've actually ever come to flying, even today. Aircraft be damned. With the figure in hand, I outpaced the planes that flew overhead, streaking across freshly cut grass, my keds stained green from the juice. Superman might be big man on campus in Metropolis and Batman held sway in Gotham, but when it came to the real world, the captain was my go-to guy. He was the mover and shaker in those halcyon days, and not just because he was a TV star. Thanks to his action figures, maybe, if you squint likeness, Shazam was generic enough to jump into a Star Trek uniform or an Action Jackson jumpsuit. His blandness provided him a universality, allowing him to mix with just about any scenario. He could even trade places with the Man of Steel on occasion, suddenly making that character cool again to my already jaded eyes. That said, it was as the captain that he made the most headway, at least until he fell out of favor for the next big thing. In spite of the weird reboots and iffy movies, I have an affection for the good captain. In the end, it is the idea of Shazam that carries the day. A hero inherent, by divine will, the best of us. A pair of oversized boots that you might step into. At least, for as long as it takes you to say the magic word. Which brings us up until now, and here it is, the box for the 2023 reissue of the Mego World's Greatest Superheroes 50th Anniversary DC Superheroes Shazam, they called him that, not me, 8-inch action figure. As you can see on the side of the box, we have the first part of the wave. That was Superman, Batman, and Robin. And we waxed enthusiastic about those figures. Oh, yes, we did. In that previous video, we went on about them. And subsequently, we were very excited for the second part of that first wave, which was made up of Aquaman, Green Arrow, and the good captain himself. In addition, Green Lantern and the Flash were offered, figures that Mego had never done before. Now, Green Arrow has yet to show up. I guess he's busy with Black Canary, you know what I mean? But in the interim, we have those other guys. We're going to show you those in a future episode. But for now, we're going to focus on Shazam. Here's the box. It's a great representation of that classic box. On the back, we have some CC back artwork. We'll be looking at some more in the very near future. This was great. Very happy about it. The figure, however, well, there were some problems right out of the box within 30 seconds. I had taken the guy out and did a little bit of posing. Seemed pretty good, much like the last time. And then I tried to bend his knee. Very pronounced snap. You ever take a pretzel rod? And yeah, it was like that. Sharp, disturbing, and absolutely final, because these new knees, they are not forgiving, unlike a previous Mego knee, which you could repair with a pin. These, there's no going back. And I gotta say, what a rubbish design. I had seen pictures of it before, but I hadn't really experienced it in the real world. Literally, I had this thing out of the box for 30 seconds, and it broke. I know that I had it lined up in just the right way, because I made it a point to do that. I'm aware that they added some new rotation. This thing was just so stiff out of the package that, I should have added heat. I guess I should have. I know that you got to do that with the more high-end figures now, but do I really need to do that with a $20 figure, especially figures that are so sturdy? Now, we just saw a whole bunch of pictures using this classic Mego Shazam. Now, this guy, he has holes drilled in his hand. He's missing some paint on his head. He's been through a lot, but nonetheless, he stood up to, a lifetime of childhood play. This new figure broke 30 seconds out of the box. Okay, does it sound like I'm grousing? Yeah, I reckon I am a little bit. I was pretty disgusted, to be honest with you. $20, I guess that's not a lot in the big scheme of things, but at the same time, $20, you know what I mean? You're certainly not going to throw it out in the street. So what did I do? Well, I decided I wasn't licked. No, sir. I was going to fight the good fight. And, being the Mego head I am, I was going to fix this guy one way or the other. Since I couldn't fix him, well, I'd swap out the head with the assistance of Batman here, and I'd put it on the a new body. But then I discovered that the Mego necks on these new bodies are completely different as well. Surprise! So I was really flummoxed. I had to go through the parts box and not only find a body, but a Peter Parker / Shazam head. And basically I assembled this out of the new costume, a vintage body, and an FTC head. This Frankenstein is the result of this. You know what I mean? Here's the actual figure. As you can see, missing his leg there. At that point, we'll put you there. And so yeah, I gotta say, not really enchanted with this body, this new waist articulation, super janky as well. The fact that these bodies are bandless means that when they break at these joints, there's no fixing them. So I don't know. Get it together, Mego, because I talk about these figures on this channel. I'm going to be talking about the new ones, but if this is the sort of thing that I can expect in the future, I don't know that I'll be buying a lot more Megos. So, yeah. And I hate to get so dour when it comes to the captain. Obviously, feel very positively about the captain. Feel very strongly, and we're going to continue with that. We have some Captain Marvel comics to talk about next. And we're going to begin with this one. It's a very interesting outlier in the amazing world of Superman. This is the story that you thought that they would never dare print. This is Superman versus Captain Thunder. Orphan and red sweater vest aficionado Willie Fawcett witnesses a crime occur in broad daylight. But what can one boy do? Well, rubbing his belt buckle while saying a magic word is worth a shot. His OCD invokes Captain Thunder, long-lost hero of a golden age. Only the captain is confused by his sudden appearance in Metropolis, acting out in a decidedly unheroic way and gaining the attention of no less than Superman, who drives him off. We are then treated to an oddly familiar origin story where wizened medicine man Maroki provides the worthy Willie with a belt imbued with 7 fantastic virtues. So, toughness is a spiritual power? With that out of the way, it's on to round 2, where these knuckleheads wreck an entire mountaintop in a single page. So much for the sole nesting ground of the Metropolis Eagle. The whole battle is wrapped up with one of those head-scratching, if you say so, solutions, an overly long hug sending the captain back to his parallel Earth. This was ironic considering DC's history with the character. Believe it or not, by the mid-1940s, the Big Red Cheese was outselling the Big Blue Boy Scout. While it seems hard to imagine today, the captain was simply more appealing to the reading public. In spite of aping aspects of Fawcett's more successful strip, DC was unable to catch their competitor's lightning and decided instead to sue for copyright infringement. A lengthy court case resulted in Fawcett eventually agreeing to cease publication of their most popular character and his supporting cast. In 1967, Marvel Comics trademarked the name Captain Marvel for their own use, leading to the original being referred to as Shazam in print and televised media. DC eventually ended up owning the rights to the Captain, though only after years of back and forth and red tape. Next up, it's more coverless cuties. Oh yeah, you betcha. Now, I've tried to get that hashtag trending on Facebook, but it's being repressed. I think it's a little too racy for those squares over at the book, you know what I'm saying? Wanted to point this out to you here. Classic panel of Cap being caught in an A-bomb. All it does is make him a little bit sooty. And to think we had to get under our desks. Here he is in a jet plane. Crack, roar, rip. Oh yeah, those are 3 sounds that you don't want to hear from the cockpit of a plane. Next up, with one magic word, Shazam. It's the original Captain Marvel, and DC seemed to be leaning pretty heavily into the Captain at this point in time. They had just picked up the rights and were really hoping that would translate to big sales for a big red cheese. You get 6 king-size stories. And then on the back, get yourself a tabletop diorama. That's right, Mom, we're not eating dinner at the table tonight. Shazam has taken up residence. And then here's C.C. Beck, the Shazam Man. And I'm sorry the scans aren't going to be so good for these, but, well, they're just so huge I can't fit this thing on my scanner. Then here we have an actor taking up the guise of Captain Marvel, but you know he's evil because he smokes. Wait a minute. That would have made my grandparents evil. And then we have this wonderful picture of Mary Marvel that you can color at home. Keep kids like you off the street. And then what else is on the inside? Check that on out. How cool will that be for your teenage bedroom? And then we have some more coverless cuties here in the form of the Marvel family. And this is the Triple Trap of Terror. The story is notable for the creators tying an unconscious Mary to a missile and firing her at an approaching meteorite, which is pretty hardcore. Our next issue is worth pointing out not only for its price tag charging 50 cents for a 20-cent comic, but for this Mego ad inside, with the good captain front and center. Well, a little bit off to one side. Mego wisely invested in advertising for their world's greatest superheroes, and it paid off for them, providing one of the most successful toy lines of all time. Back then, I used to sit and wait for the commercials to come on TV. Wasn't really sure what the captain was doing with that phone cord, but hey, far be it from me to second-guess a superhero. Following that, it's even more tabloidy goodness. And this time you get 8 king-size stories. Is that DC giving you more value for your money? Well, I know that we got another tabletop diorama. If Mom thought that she was eating like a civilized person tonight, she can forget about it. And then here, oh wow, check this out. It's the Trio of Terror. Pretty enigmatic. This one's pretty freaky. Mary Marvel turned into an owl. Who? Yeah, that's what I said. Now, here's some beautiful Mary Marvel artwork. I think that's Mac Raboy's art, if I'm not mistaken. And then here's Chapter 3 of a tale, The Frozen Horror, where the kids can't say the word Shazam because their heads are encased in ice. Yeah, I hate when that happens. And then here's 2 more coverless cuties, you betcha. What's happening in this one? Why, nothing less than Captain Marvel battling the miniature giants. What's that all about? Well, let's just say that I think we know what's up with all those cattle mutilations from a while back. And we're going to wrap it up with one final tabloid edition. This one is C35 for those of you playing along at home. And there he is, Jackson Bostwick, making the scene as the good captain, tying it all together, don't you know? And there on the back is the obligatory tabletop diorama. At this point, hopefully Mom bought you your own table so she doesn't have to suffer. Then here on the interior, they're talking Shazam on television. And this way you can have some photo reference for your mentor figure. I'm actually thinking about doing that with that particular busted figure, you know, because like I said, never say die. Here's Captain Marvel, and he battles the world. And we wrap it up with Captain Marvel battling the plot against the universe and multiple Sivannahs. You know, if there's anything more distressing than one Sivannah, it's a dozen of them. And these guys saying stuff like, "You're through, heh heh heh, heh heh, and you'll die soon." Well, you know, that just makes it creepier. Even this guy who's digging in his nose. Oh, man. What a nasty bit of business he is, huh? All right. Well, thank you for joining us on this marvelous episode of Having a Drink with Mink. Thank you so very much for tuning in. I'm your host, Jason Mink, and until next time, cheers. But before you go, friend of the channel, Warren Muzak, has produced some wonderful new t-shirts based on his love of vintage trains. Check out the commercial one time, won't you?